Dear students, we are studying the laws of production. In the previous lecture, we have learned about law of variable proportion, which is also known as returns to factor, which is applied in case of short-term production function in which some factors are kept as fixed while others as variable. As in that case, we have kept land as fixed input, fixed factor of production, and labor as variable factor of production. And then we have studied the total product of labor, average product of labor, and marginal product of labor, that is returns to labor when it was used along with the fixed factors such as land. Now today we will come to know about law of returns to scale, which is one more law of production. It is applied in logarithm production function, that is logarithm analysis of production, in which all inputs or all factors of production are variable. Their quantities, their units can be changed with the change in level of output according to the production process. This is an important point for laws of returns to scale, that is all the inputs, all the factors of production are variable. They can be varied according to the level of production. And there are three laws of return to scale. Number one is increasing returns to scale. We will start from the first law of returns to scale, that is increasing returns to scale. Increasing returns to scale. Law of increasing returns to scale. IRS, increasing returns to scale. In case of increasing returns to scale, the level of output is more than the increase in inputs. That is, output increase more than proportionality the increase in inputs. If we increase the inputs, this arrow I will mean increase in inputs by 10%, the output will increase by more than 10%. Say it have increased by 20%. Means more than 10% means 15%, 20%, 30%, and so on. In simple words, you have to remember that in case of increased returns to scale, the output increases more than the increase in inputs. As this is the example I have given, that if inputs, that is labor and capital, have increased by 10%, the output will increase more than 10%, say 12%, 13%, 18% or 20%, and so on. Now we will take the example with the help of production function. Suppose Qx is the level of output x or quantity of x produced with the help of labor. L is labor, K is capital. If 50 units of x is produced with the help of 1 unit of labor and 1 unit of capital. Now to increase the output of x, we have to increase, we have to vary, we have to make change in the units of labor and capital. Suppose the units of input, the factors of production, that is labor and capital, if it have been increased from 1 unit to 2 units, from 1 unit of capital to 2 units of capital, means it has been doubled. The inputs in case of increase return to scale, as I have told you that the output will increase more than increase in the inputs. If it have doubled, it will be more than doubled. Suppose it have increased from 50 units of X to 150 units of X. We have doubled these inputs from 1 to 2 units of labor, from 1 to 2 units of capital. It should have been 100 units of X. The level of output should be 100 units of X, but it is more than that. It have increased from 50 units of X to 150 units of X. This is known as law of increase in return to scale, when level of output increases more than the increase in inputs. Now we can show it with the help of isocount. First I will define what is isocount, then I will show this law of increase and return to scale with the help of isocount. On y-axis, on vertical axis, we take units of capital, and on x-axis, or we can say on horizontal axis, we take units of labor. This is the isocount. Isocount. I-S-O-Q-U-A-N-T. Isocount. Derived from Greek word iso means same, count means quantity, means same quantity of output is produced with the help of different units of labor and capital. That is why it is also known as iso product curve. Suppose this isocount, it shows 10 units of X is produced with the help of different combinations of capital and labor. Point A, suppose it is 2 units of capital and 1 unit of labor. L means labor, K means capital. If we move on the same isocount from point A to point B, it shows decrease in units of capital from 2 units of capital to say 1 unit of capital, and increase in units of labor from 1 unit of labor to 2 units of labor. But the level of output remains the same. That is why it is known as isocount or isoproduct curve. Now I will show this with the help of units of labor on x-axis, and on y-axis units of capital. This is the isocount first, which shows the level of output 50 units of X is produced with the help of 1 unit of labor and 1 unit of capital. And the next level of output is 150 units of X, which will be shown by higher isocount 150 units of X, and which shows different units of capital and labor. Capital and labor have increased from 1 unit of capital to 2 units of capital, and from 1 unit of labor to 2 units of labor. And the product level of output, the production have increased from 50 units of X to 150 units of X, more than doubled. Labor and capital have been doubled, but the output have been more than doubled. The increase in output is more than increase in input. And in case of increase return to scale, the gap between the consecutive isocounts, the gap between one isocount and another isocount, it is less. They are closer as compared to decreasing returns to scale, that we will see in this lecture. Now, what are the causes of increasing returns to scale? Causes of increasing returns to scale. Number one is managerial and technical indivisibilities. Indivisibilities means which cannot be divided into parts. If they are divided into parts, then they become non-functional. And managerial means related to managers, whose task is to coordinate the other factors of production. When they become indivisible, means they are not helpful to produce a small quantity of output. They are useful in case of mass production. Their ability is to produce more and more units, higher quantities of output. Therefore, the mass production will be only possible, the higher production will be only possible when we increase the units of capital and labor, the inputs of production, because these are coordinated by these managers along with the use of machinery, the technological facilities available to the firm, to the producer. Therefore, due to this indivisibility feature of managers and technical conditions, there will be increased returns to scale. There will be increase in output more than increase in input. When inputs are increased by some percentage, the output will increase more than that percentage. Means there will be mass production. The second one is high degree of specialization. High degree of specialization. High degree of specialization. When the managers are absent managers, absent laborers, means skilled laborers are available, their productivity will be also high due to their absence, and in the long run it is possible to increase the efficiency of manager, to increase the efficiency of laborers, their skills, through trainings, workshops, etc. And ultimately, when this facility is available to the producer, to the firm, the very small increase in input such as labor and capital will yield more output. The increase in output will be more than increase in input due to this feature. And this cause of increase to scale, it is simply we can Say, in nutshell, we can say it is due to economies of scale. Economies of scale. Economies of scale. What are the economies of scale? It is the cost saving factors resulting due to large scale production. Arising due to large scale production. This economies of scale available to a firm, available to a producer, boosts him, encourages him to increase the level of production. And these economies of scale cost saving factors, it was in the form of managerial and technical eligibilities, or in the form of high degree of specialization of manpower, such as absent managers available, absent laborers, that is secular laborers, whose productivity will be very high when they are available. That is the economies of scale. The cost of production will be low. There will be more increase in the production level, as it is to be a point. It is the factor that boosts the producer, the firm, to increase the scale of production, means there will be increased returns to scale. Now we will learn one more law of return to scale, that is second law is law of decreasing returns to scale. Second law of decreasing returns to scale. Decreasing returns to scale, DRS. In this case, the increase in output is less than increase in input, labor and capital. Suppose if the inputs have been increased by 10%, the output will increase less than 10%. Suppose it will increase by 8%, 5%. This is known as decreasing return to scale. In simple words, we can say that increase in output is less than proportional to increase in input. We will give some example with the help of production function. If QX is the level of output, is the quantity of X commodity produced with the help of labor and capital. If 50 units of X is produced with the help of 1 unit of labor and 1 unit of capital, to increase the level of output, we have to increase the inputs, the factors of production. Suppose we have increased it by from 1 unit of labor to 2 units of labor, from 1 unit of capital to 2 units of capital. It should have been increased to 100 units of X, because we have doubled this, it should have been also doubled. But if the increase in the output is, that is the level of output of X, the quantity of X produced with the help of 2 units of labor and 2 units of capital is 50 to 80 units of X, it have also increased from 50 to 80 units of X, but less than increase in input. Increase in input, we have doubled the units of labor and capital. The output should have been increased, should have been doubled, that is 100 units of X, but it is less than that. It have only increased to 80 units of X. This is known as law of decreasing returns to scale. We can show this with the help of isocont. On horizontal axis, units of labor, and on y-axis or vertical axis, units of capital. This is the isocont 1, which shows the level of output 50 units of X by using 1 unit of capital and 1 unit of labor, and output have increased from 50 to 80 units of X. It will be shown by higher isocont 80 units of X, showing the combination of labor and capital as 2 units of labor and 2 units of capital. It means it have been increased. In case of decreasing returns to scale, the gap between the consecutive isoconts, they are more. They are far away from each other. The gap between one isocont and the other isocont is more. As in case of increasing returns to scale, they are closer to each other. The gap is less between the consecutive isoconts. Now, what are the causes of decreasing returns to scale? We will learn causes of decreasing returns to scale, DRS, decreasing returns to scale. Number 1, it is due to diseconomies of scale. Diseconomies of scale. This is opposite to economies of scale, as in economies of scale, which are cost saving factors arising due to large scale production, and in this case these are cost escalating factors. It will increase the cost of production, which will not boost the producer, the firm, to increase the level of production. What are the diseconomies of scale? In which form these are available to the producer, to the firm, which leads to decreasing return to scale? These are: number 1, managerial diseconomies. Managerial diseconomies. With the increase in the level of production, the scale of production, the managers, they become overburdened and they do not take interest in the production activities. And these managers, whose task is to coordinate other factors of production, when they become overburdened due to large scale production, they will not make efficient use, they will not coordinate efficiently the other factors of production. Naturally, the increase in output will be less than increase in input, as we have shown with the help of some numerical example as well as with the help of isocont. And second cause may be exhaustibility of natural resources. Or other resources, raw materials used in the production process, when they are getting exhausted, when their ability gets decreasing, when they are not available due to overutilization, it does not allow the producer, the manager, the firm to increase the level of output more than increase in the units of input. For example, extraction of sand from a river, there is limitedness on the extraction of sand. We cannot increase its quantity beyond a certain limit. Or a case of coal mines, the availability of coal is fixed. We cannot increase its production beyond a certain limit. Therefore, if we increase the level of input such as land, labor and capital, the output will not increase beyond a certain limit. There are other examples of exhaustibility of nature resources, which is the cause of decreasing returns to scale. Now we will come to know about the last laws of return to scale, which is known as constant returns to scale. Law of constant returns to scale. Third law of return to scale, that is law of constant returns to scale, CRS, constant returns to scale. In this case, the increase in output is same as increase in input. If we increase input by 10%, the output will also increase by 10%. If we increase the input by 50%, output will also increase by 50%. Output, input, labor and capital. If it is increased by 10%, output will also increase 10%, or if it is decreased by 10%, the output will also increase by 10%, decrease by 10%. If it is increased by 20%, the output will also increase by 20%. This arrow shows increase. Means in case of constant return to scale, the increase in output leads to same increase in output. This we can show with the help of some example. QX, function of labor and capital. If 50 units of X is produced with the help of 1 unit of labor and 1 unit of capital, to produce more units of X, we have to increase the units of labor and capital, that is factors of production. Suppose we have doubled them, we have increased them from 1 unit of labor, 2 units of labor, from 1 unit of capital to 2 units of capital, the output have increased to 100 units of X. Inputs have been doubled, output have been also doubled. Means the same change, percentage change in inputs as well as percent change in output. This is known as constant returns to scale. We can show this with the help of isocant. Units of labor on x-axis and on y-axis units of capital. This is the isocant first, which shows the level of output, that is 50 units of X produced with the help of 1 unit of capital and 1 unit of labor and hundreds of acres, the higher level of output, it will be shown by higher ISO count. 100 units of acres produced with the help of 2 units of capital and 2 units of labor. We have doubled the inputs, such as labor and capital. The output have been also doubled. The same change in input as well as same change in output. This is known as constant returns to scale. CRS.